You're listening to the Educated Cowgirl Podcast, Season 2, Episode 14. Hey Cowgirls! First of all, Happy New Year, as this episode is coming to you on New Year's Eve. I am so excited for 2026, not just because it is the year of the horse, but for the hope the new year will bring for the equine industry. Speaking of the future, that is what I am talking about with today's guest. But before we get into that, I just wanted to say that 2025 has been such a great year for me and the podcast. I have learned so much from all my guests this year, and the show has grown so much thanks to all of you. I hope it continues to do so as I go into the third year of the podcast. I can't wait to see what guests I will bring on in 2026, what we will all learn from them together, and how the show will grow. I am already thinking of my goals and ideas coming up for the new year, so get ready. On today's episode, I am so excited to share with you my amazing conversation with an incredible lady and my last guest of 2025. As I say in the episode, she is someone that I look up to and have learned so much from, and has so many great insights into the equine industry, especially with the topic of lesson programs, barns, and instructors, and their future in the industry. Christy Landwehr has created a great reputation for her career as an instructor and through her position at NRHA. Not only do we discuss the important impact lesson barns and horses have on our industry, but also about collaboration between trainers and instructors, holding trainers accountable for their actions, having open and honest communication between parents and instructors, and so much more. This is the perfect episode to end the year on, to take into thinking about the future of the industry in 2026 and beyond. I would love to hear the conversations and thoughts you have from listening to this episode, so make sure to tag me at The Educated Cowgirl, or you can send me a message on Instagram. Without further ado, let's get into my conversation with Christy. Hey, and welcome to the Educated Cowgirl Podcast, hosted by yours truly. My name is Abby Carpenter, and I am a cowgirl and equestrian through and through. I started this podcast wanting to make more of an impact in the equine industry. That's why I am making it my mission to help promote the industry to the public through sharing my love for horses through education and bringing other experts and professionals onto the podcast with me to discuss important topics that impact the horse community. So whether you are a crazy horse lady like me, want to learn more about horses, or want to learn more about the industry, you've come to the right place. On this podcast, we will be talking about ownership, horsemanship, fitness, faith, breeds, and so much more. We believe that it doesn't matter what type of saddle you ride in or the breed of horse you may ride. We all contribute to this community to make it great, and that there is always something to learn from the back of your horse. So grab a coffee and get ready to take some notes, and let's get started. This is the Educated Cowgirl Podcast. Welcome back to the show, everyone. I'm very excited, and it has been long awaited with the amazing lady I'm talking with today. She is a CHA master instructor, a businesswoman, speaker, NRHA sponsorship director, and a good friend and mentor to me, Christy Landwehr. Welcome to the Educated Cowgirl Podcast.
So excited to be on, Abby. I know we've been talking about it for a while, and now here we are.
Yep. Thank you for taking the time to talk with me today.
Of course. And I just have been wanting to do this for a really long time. I think, you are somebody in the industry that I'm just super excited about everything that you're doing. And I am just thrilled to be a part of your podcast.
Awesome. All right. So before we get into it, if you had a Wikipedia page about yourself, what is one interesting or fun fact that would be on there that people would be surprised to learn about you?
I have to go with the one that I actually had on my resume for a long time because it entertained people. But when I was 16, I got hired by Medieval Times in Buena Park, California, and my official title was Stable Wench. And they actually would put in my pay stub memo, Stable Wench, So it was official that that was my title and that that's also what they paid me to do. But when I got to work with the horses, animals and entertainment is a whole nother ball of wax. And it was a really interesting thing to do for quite a few years. And one of the years I got to ride in the 100th annual Tournament of Roses parade
Hmm.
on a jigging Andalusian stallion side saddle as the Countess for medieval times. So that was pretty cool.
So fun. So fun. So let's start at the beginning. I know some of your story, but for the listeners, can you dive deeper into how you got started with horses, growing up in the industry, becoming an instructor, and then how that led to where you are today with your life and career?
I sure can. So I grew up in Southern California, and Southern California is unique in that most of the cities like Fullerton and Yorba Linda, Hacienda Heights have a public riding arena still. Kind of fascinating. And that those public riding arenas are surrounded with little places to keep your horses on very small acreage, but that's what happens in Southern California. So when I was 6, we moved from Cerritos, which is in Los Angeles County, to Fullerton, which is in Orange County, and we had one of those little farms right next to the house. And I would just walk down there and hang over the fence and try to pet horses. And it began. I just started bugging for a riding lesson. So pretty soon, one of the gals down there, she actually ended up being my babysitter. She was not dumb. She was 18 years old, and she said, I'll go ahead and watch Christy. And so she became my babysitter, and I started taking riding lessons from her instructor. Her instructor was Eldona Reesner Arns and actually was part of the Arabian world. So I started riding on Arabians and got to do everything. After I rode with Eldona for a while, I went to Liz Broadbent and I started cleaning stalls for her at 13, and she also had Arabians. Pretty soon I was riding with Wendy Griffith Potts, and that was an amazing experience. And I rode in like every single discipline there was: side saddle, country English pleasure, saddle seat eck, Western, reining, you name it. Wendy just kind of threw me into all of it. And I was one of her very first equitation students, and her mother, Dorothy, made all my show clothes. It was an amazing experience. And I felt very blessed to be able to be a part of all that. So I got to go local, regional, and national level in the 80s. Riding Arabians, and I never owned one. I actually owned a POA named Popcorn that my parents had bought me when I was 12, and I threw my hat in the ring. Not really a great way to become a riding instructor, and just started teaching on him. I'm like, hey, $10 an hour, let's go ahead. And so I just started giving lessons to family, friends, and things like that. And pretty soon I was like the instructor at the little Fullerton recreational riding arena, and people were letting me borrow their horse to teach on. And I got insurance when I turned 18 through Equisure that I still have today, crazy all these years later. And I kind of just went down that road. And when I graduated from Cal State Fullerton with my communications degree, I wanted to pursue more. So I ended up here in Colorado and went to CU Boulder. And while I was there, I founded the Intercollegiate Horse Show Association equestrian team through their Rodeo and Western Heritage Club. And I became a coach for them and really enjoyed IHSA a lot. I think catch riding is awesome, and it really
Mhm.
makes you a very good rider.
I would
And the whole
agree.
time I had popcorn. I just brought him with me. So I still had my POA. He was retired now, but then I started teaching lessons at High Prairie Farms in Parker, Colorado, which is the Hunter Jumper Barn. It's now called the Colorado Horse Park. I started teaching for a lady that owned Arabians up in Evergreen and started to watch her horses. And so I've always kind of had horses always as a part of my life. And I still teach today, even though my career is on the association side now. I went to work for the Arabian Horse Association, and then I worked for, of course, Certified Horsemanship Association that you mentioned, and now, of course, National Reining Horse Association. But I still teach. I have 3 aged geldings in the backyard that I still teach on, one Arabian, one Appaloosa, and one paint. And I just love teaching. It's especially beginners. It's a passion of mine.
Yes, yes. Great. So I think we can both attest to how lesson horses played such a vital role in both of our lives and
Yes.
what they taught us, even outside of riding. Can you think back to any lesson horse from when you were riding them or when you were teaching with lesson horses that had the biggest impact on your life and you still think about them today?
Yes. So he was a gray purebred Egyptian Arabian named Hezron, and Eldona Reasoner Arns owned him. And I went into a walk trot class on him when I was super young. And I was super, super nervous and I threw up all over him. And you know, when you throw up on a gray horse, it's not pretty. So that was kind of funny. But he taught me how to ride because boy, could he spook, Abby. He had a good spook in him. And I know not all Arabians spook, and I know some quarter horses spook, but this particular Egyptian Arabian spooked a lot. And he taught me how to do a rollback. I mean, I can now do a rollback really well because he would spook and spin 180 degrees every single time. And sometimes it'd be to the right, sometimes it'd be to the left. So I got a really good seat at a very young age. I rode him when I was 6 to the time I was about 10. And Eldona would just like brush off the dirt and get back on as long as you're okay. I'm okay. And he never dumped me at a horse show, which was great. But I had a lot of riding lessons on him, and he was very multidiscipline trained. So I did Western on him, country English pleasure, and also dishunt seat ack on him. So he did all kinds of things, and we just rode in little local Arabian shows, and I learned a ton from that horse.
Nice. So besides from horsemanship lessons, what life lessons do you think you probably learned from him?
Oh boy. Um, to not give up and to not quit and to just know that it's just a bump in the road and failure is okay because tomorrow you might not fail. So if you have a little failure today, you just kind of chalk it up to, we'll see how tomorrow goes. And that's very much what he taught me throughout the years I
Perfect.
rode him. Yeah.
Love that. Love that. So how have they helped you to shape your views on the importance of lesson programs in the industry?
They're worth $1 million. If you have good school horses, you will succeed in being able to really advance your students. I have I call him my paint that ain't because he's a breeding stock solid black paint with 4 white socks, and I call him Socks, but he's SOX because he's cool. So Socks, he will let the beginner just kick and pull and just kind of be like, stop, learn how to ride. What are you doing? I'm not going to go. You're really crazy. And then when people start to get better and better and better, he rises to the occasion. He actually still has a flying lead change in him at 24 years young. And he'll do all that. And I just think school horses like that, I wouldn't sell him as a 24-year-old for 10 grand because I couldn't replace him. So I
Hmm.
wouldn't do it. I'd say sorry, but no. He's just, I call him my ATM. I mean, no matter who you are, you come and you want a riding lesson, I know Socks will take care of you, whether you're really advanced and want kind of a thrill, or if you're a pretty beginner and don't know what you're doing, he'll help you. So I just think school horses are so good. And I wish, and I think we're going to get into this maybe a little later in our conversation, Abby, but I just
Hmm.
really wish that more equine professionals in specific disciplines would
Hmm.
have school horses.
Yes.
I think we're getting away from that a little bit, and that's hurting our industry.
Yes. Yes. And that brings me to the next question, actually. With barns becoming more specialized and training more specifically for reining or hunters or dressage or whichever, do you think what defines a lesson horse has changed?
I do. I think, back in the day when I rode Arabians, like I told you about Hezron, and then I rode many others and all those different disciplines that I said, that's because that was accepted.
Hmm.
There weren't really halter only and jumping only and reining only as much back then, in my opinion. And the all-round horse was in every breed. Every breed had an all-round category. And we're kind of moving away from that a little bit. And I'm going to jump onto the reining thing just because that's what I really know right now very well.
Hmm.
I have ridden 3 reiners in my life, and every time I have giggled and smiled out loud. And so many especially because I'm more of a hunter jumper dressage girl is my background,
Hmm.
most of us, when we get into be our 40s and 50s, we don't want to fall when we're jumping 4 foot anymore. That hurts. But we
Yeah.
still want that adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
And going fast and sliding and spinning and still being able to do fly changes fast when you're doing the big fast circle or the slow, small collected figure eight or whatever the case may be is fun.
Hmm.
And I just wish that more of our professionals would have school horses
Hmm.
because if they did, I think we would convert so many more people into reining. But so many of our trainers, they don't want the cost
Yeah.
of having the school horses. And I think that's a shame.
Yeah. Yeah, cost can definitely be a factor, especially when they're so focused on their client horses and competitions. It can be hard.
Correct. I agree. But I just think many more of us would get on that good reining school horse and then go buy one. But if
Mhm.
we don't have an opportunity to ride a few school horses in reining or in dressage or in ranch riding or in Western pleasure or in saddle seat eck or whatever,
Mhm.
then we're not going to know that we might want to do that discipline.
Yes.
And I think that we would sell more horses and the trainers would actually do better and would get more of your green level folks involved and your non-pro and amateur folks involved if they all had more school horses.
Yes. Yeah, because I mean, I remember my 4-H days and then even judging 4-H shows and saddle club shows. I have seen kids show their horse in everything from English, the first
Yes,
thing 8 a.m. Monday in the morning, to they even did speed events at that later in the show.
correct.
And
Yes.
yeah, which like we said, we don't see that as much. How can we start to recognize those horses more? Because they are still out there. Or do you think it has to do more with the athletic ability of the horse?
I think that it's the mind of the horse. I think that when a horse has a really good mind and is already a school horse that can tolerate multiple people up on its back,
Hmm.
it deserves a prize, right? And I think breed and discipline organizations should focus more on awards and recognizing those barns that have school horses and provide an entry level experience. And I also feel that they should recognize those horses. Now, of course, when I worked for Certified Horsemanship Association, we did do
Hmm.
that. We had an instructor of the year, we had a horse of the year program, we had programs like that.
Hmm.
But I just feel that it needs to be in every breed and discipline, recognizing how important lesson horses are. And then I think you would see more and more barns gravitating towards having them.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Okay, so a hot topic that I've seen on social media, I know they talked about it on another equestrian podcast, is the idea of instructors normalizing raising lesson fees on lesson horses to help them not only be more profitable and help them be more sustainable, but do you think that would scare parents away from signing their kids up? And then how should this topic be approached of keeping lessons affordable, but also helping instructors make a living?
Yes. So I'm going to bring up a barn. I'm going to name a name here. Denver Equestrians are located here in Colorado, and Corinne runs the program and
Hmm.
she actually runs it like a business. So all of her instructors are salaried.
Hmm.
All of her instructors have a 401k plan with a match that she gives them, and all of her instructors have health insurance.
Hmm.
Wow, would that change the world?
Yes.
If Barnes would start to recognize instructors in that fashion and not just pay them 15 bucks an hour,
Right.
I think that would really create some positive energy.
Hmm.
And I think as far as the cost, if you're going to a place like that, I think as a parent, you understand that you're going to pay a little bit more than somebody that's hung a shingle and is calling themselves an instructor and doesn't have any background. Corinne, for example, at Denver Equestrians, makes sure that every single one of her instructors is certified through CHA. She also makes sure that there is a quarterly horse show where all of the students in the program can go through the CHA levels. And then she puts all of their names on the wall in the room where the parents hang out and watch the riding lessons
Hmm.
from CHA level one riders all the way up to level four with jumping.
Hmm.
And then that gives the students in the program, adults included, an opportunity to achieve goals.
Hmm.
Right. And I think sometimes when parents are like, well, I want my kid to jump right now. And it's like, well, no, riding is a sport. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's going to take a young person a really long time to get good enough to jump.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're going to learn right away. So, what I tell everybody is when you can walk, trot, and canter on any of the lesson horses that I own that I put you on with one stirrup, posting, and 2 point. Okay. Then and only then will I let you jump.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, why? I go, because the reality is you're going to lose a stirrup when you jump and
Yeah.
you got to know how to stay on. So, with that in mind, then the parents go, oh, it's going to be a while. Yes, it is going to
Yes.
be a while. And I think then they're willing to understand that they're in it for the long haul. So,
Hmm.
whether they're paying that long haul by the lesson or whether that they're paying that long haul by every 8 lessons, they get one free or whatever the programs are that are out there. I
Yeah.
think if there's open and honest communication about the goals of where your student is going to go, I think that parents and grandparents and even the people themselves that are paying for their own lessons would understand and would actually treat it like club soccer, right? Or club baseball. You cannot tell me that these parents that have their kids in those programs, gymnastics, everything else, are not paying through the nose for
Right.
the possibility of scholarships and things like that in college, all the travel they have to do, the airplane rides, the hotels, all the things. So horseback riding, it needs to be right up there because it costs a lot of money to maintain these horses. It really
Yes.
does.
Yes. Yes. And I think the biggest issue that parents have with it is like if they go with their 6-year-old to the barn for the first time and the instructor tells them, okay, it's going to be $100 per lesson. And the parent's like, I don't even know if my kid likes this. Why am I
Right.
paying that much? So that's where a lot of um, parents kind of get a little like, whoa, wait a second.
I think you're absolutely right. And you know what that's called? Put them in a summer camp.
Yep.
Have them go to summer camp, whether it's Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, one of our CHA camps that they do all around the country, whatever it is,
Yeah.
and experience 5 days of having a horseback riding lesson a day, or maybe it's truly a horse camp where they ride all the time and do everything all the time. And then that includes room, board, everything else. So you're probably going to
Hmm.
be able to tolerate that amount of money a little bit better.
Hmm.
And then if that kid still comes back from 5 days of horse camp with the bug, well, then you might want to invest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even if it's just like a summer camp where they maybe go on a trail ride for 30 minutes in a
Correct. It's
in a
something.
circle trail. Yeah.
Uh-huh. It's something. And I just think that that's where I started. My
Hmm.
very first ride was at Girl Scout camp, and I really loved it. And it kind of got me hooked and it made me go, huh. And that's where the begging came in for the riding lessons that my parents finally did with Eldona, as I spoke about earlier. And it kind of went from there. So I just think, all of us have had that very first ride, and not all of us are lucky enough to be raised on ranches and farms. I was, like I mentioned, grew up in Southern California with parents that didn't know anything at all about horses, just
Hmm.
saw my drive and my passion for it and made it possible for me because we were right next to that riding arena and I boarded my horse right above it and I would bike my little bike down there twice a day and feed him
Yeah.
because it was a self-care place.
Yeah.
And I was just lucky enough to live, near that kind of thing so that it was affordable for my parents to do it because they didn't
Hmm.
know anything about horses.
Right.
And these people that are raised on ranches and all that, wow, what a blessing for them. But those of us that grew up in the city with city parents, it was a different journey.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. So how do you think the current economic status of the country has impacted the equine industry when it comes to parents making that decision to add another expense of riding lessons to their budget?
Yeah, I think anytime you have economic stuff going on, people have to obviously pay rent, mortgage, and food and gas first.
Hmm.
And so the sports kind of go by the wayside. And I think that could very well be what happens with horseback riding lessons. But I think if you're an instructor, you can weather that storm by doing creative things like a Groupon. All of those things still work. Just don't do it to the point where you have to service too many people, or you're going to get stuck not being able to service them all. But those types of services and coupons and discounts. Buy a package of 8 and get a riding lesson free if you want to do the upkeep of the paperwork to keep all that straight. I think that people will come to you
Yeah,
during economic downturns and will try to still take a lesson.
that's That's really creative. Really think outside the box. I like that. All right. So, and we kind of touched on this when you mentioned trainers having school horses, but I think another one of the issues that parents are having is just finding a lesson barn in general. Because as we said, a lot of barns are more specialized, and parents are almost expected to buy their kid a horse almost right away, or trainers don't offer youth programs anymore. My question to you is, where do you think this struggle really is coming from, the parent or instructor side?
Yeah, that's hard, but I think it's the instructor side. And to me, there's a big difference, Abby, between instructor and trainer.
Yeah.
So a trainer trains the horse, and instructor trains the human. And sure,
Hmm.
some trainers have to also train people, and sure, some instructors have to hop on our school horses every now and then and tune them up.
Hmm.
But if you really are an instructor, you're probably a people person.
Hmm.
And if you're really a trainer, you're probably more of a, yeah, I'd rather be with
Horse.
the animals
Yeah.
and not deal with the people. So not many people can be both well,
Yes.
because it really is a personality thing. And I just think that, having that knowledge of kind of who you are and then gravitating towards those types of people that you think are going to be good. But I would be remiss to not mention CHA.horse. So that's
Hmm.
Certified Horsemanship Association, and then DIS.horse. So CHA.horse, there actually is a link on there of all the riding lesson programs in the United States and Canada that have certified instructors. And I mention them because 100% every single one of those is going to have a school horse.
Yes.
That's what they do. So if you go to something like that, for sure they're going to have school horses. Another area that they're always going to have school horses is Path International, Professional Association of Therapeutic Horsemanship. Now, of course, that's going to be for your mentally and physically challenged, more population, but they also will all have school horses. So those types of programs. Now, if you want to ride a quarter horse, you go to AQHA. Yeah, the likelihood of them all having school horses, you don't know. Same
Yeah.
thing if you go to paint. Same thing if you go to Arab. Same thing if you go to us with reining. Same thing if you go to, cutting, whatever the case may be, USDF for dressage. You just don't know.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a hunt and peck situation, right? Just call the
Hmm.
ones near you and find out if they do have school horses. But your first question as a parent or a grandparent with youth, if you are going to go ahead and do that and try to find lesson barns near you, should be, how many lesson horses do you have? What
Hmm.
age are they? What breed are they? What do they know? What do they do? Because those really are your teacher more than the instructor.
Right. Yeah.
If they're putting you on horses that are just camp horses and only go in a straight line and don't even really bend, you're not going to learn how to ride very well over
Yeah.
time if you want to advance. So just kind of knowing that. And then, eventually, like even in 4-H, you got to own your horse.
Hmm.
So hopefully people will start leasing and buying horses and will be excited and will want to do that. All of us want to see the industry grow, but I still have some students, Abby, that literally have come to me for years, once a week, and
Hmm.
they still don't have a horse.
Yeah.
And that's okay. It's
Yeah.
really okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, horse lovers! Let's take a quick break from my conversation with Christy to thank my partner, then we will get back into it. Since we are talking about the future of the equine industry, are you ready to dive deep into the DNA of your equine companion? Well, thank you to Edelon Equine Genetics, you can do just that. Their team of top geneticists, tech experts, biologists, and professional equestrians, Edelon strives to create meaningful and useful information to horse owners to improve the lives and health of your equine athletes and understand more about their performance traits, breeding potential, and other attributes. They deliver rapid results from their Class 1 rated lab so you can make informed decisions quicker than ever before. With Edelon, you can not only identify potential health risks, but also through using their Build a Horse feature, you can even predict future foal outcomes. I have played around with this feature myself, and this interactive platform really is so informative and gives you a detailed breakdown of your horse's ancestry, temperament, performance traits, and so much more. Talk about being prepared for your horse's future and for yourself. Unlock the genetic potential of your horse and head over to etalondx.com. That's ETALONDX.com today, or click on the link in the show notes to shop their Pro 2.0 Plus Ancestry Equine DNA test and use code COWGIRL5 to get a special discount on your DNA test bundle. Discover the secrets hidden in your horse's DNA and take your horse knowledge to the next level. So from your perspective, I would just like your opinion on this. Why do you feel that trainers are starting to go more adult amateur only programs and move away from youth?
Money. So most of your adult amateurs have probably come back after their kids have graduated from college and they have a little bit more income, and maybe even now they're retired and they have a little bit more time on their hands. And in this world now where a lot of people can work from home, there's probably more flexibility with their schedules to be able to start going to horse shows and doing things. And so I think that the trainers, I mean, you always go for the lowest fruit on the tree, not the highest, right? Low hanging fruit is easier. And I just feel that the amateur adult is probably a little bit easier to work with, and you're going to have a consistent income every month with that individual and those types of things. Whereas kids, they come and go. They decide, oh, I don't really like this sport anymore. Oh, I'd rather go do baseball. Or, oh gosh, look, I just graduated. Now I'm in college. I can't ride with you anymore. So there's just all of that that happens. Whereas an adult amateur is going to probably stick with it for longer.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're actually putting their own money into it, as where like the parents with the kids are like, well, do you want to keep doing this? Because you don't have to.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's probably the biggest reason would be that. And then some people, just not gonna lie, they just don't want to work with kids. They don't want to deal
Yeah.
with the maybe attitude that might come with it or whatever the case may be. I've always said though, I love the students and most of my students are youth. It's the parents that irritate me.
Yeah. Yep. I think a lot of instructors and trainers would agree with you on that. They kind of,
Yes.
yeah,
And that's why I had that answer that I gave earlier about ride with one stirrup, walk, trot, canter, all the things that I said before you can jump. Because how many times have I been asked that? And oh, you're just trying to take my money for longer. No, I'm not. When your kid
Nope.
can do all this, I'm trying to keep your kid safe.
Yes.
Safety is a part of horseback riding. Is your kid going to fall? Probably, because as they get better, falls are inevitable. You're going to fall.
Yeah.
But the likelihood of it happening a lot is going to be nil and void if you start making them ride without a stirrup right
Yeah.
away.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah. At the urban farm, before they can start jumping, they have to do at least one dressage session. So,
That's awesome.
hmm
Yeah. It's
yeah.
good to have those implement things in place. And then the parents on the rail that want to coach as their kid goes by, I just tell them to be quiet.
Yeah.
I just say, oh, I'm so sorry, but no. I said, you just can't. It's not like a soccer game or a football game where it's a team environment and everyone's yelling at everybody as their play is happening in front of you. That's not what horseback riding is.
Yeah.
And so just please be quiet and sit there. And afterwards, we can discuss whatever you'd like to discuss. It'd be great.
Yes. Yes. And you're paying me to coach your kid. So,
Correct. It's pretty good.
yeah. All right. So I feel like it's important to mention this topic. Toxic or troublesome trainers, and maybe instructors, that could also be a reason for parents struggling to find good barns for their kids. How do you feel trainers should be held more accountable for their actions with how they treat clients or students? And how can students feel safe enough to speak up more when they feel they're being treated badly?
Yeah, I love this question. It's one that we all kind of cringe at, right? But it's
Hmm.
reality and it's really good to talk about it. So, I think background checks are super important. And I think if you're a self-employed trainer or instructor, you should just be professional enough to do background checks on yourself and also on all of your assistant trainers or instructors. Anybody who's an adult who's going to be working with kids needs one. So I think that's really, really important. I also feel that Safe Sport, that you can go through their really easy online program and learn more about sexual misconduct and things like that is a really
Hmm.
educational thing. Even if you yourself think, well, I would never be inappropriate. I went through Safe Sport Online and I used to always ask permission, may I touch you, blah, blah, blah. And I want to show you something, la, la, la.
Hmm.
Well, I don't touch them anymore
Hmm.
because of what I learned on Safe Sport. Because when you teach riding, you're touching them on the inner thigh to
Hmm.
roll it onto the saddle more, or you're touching them in places that, you might not want to be doing that.
Yeah.
So now I just have them grab their own inner thigh and place it on the saddle where I think it should go. And we have that conversation and I show them with my body and then I have them do it with their own body. So I learned through Safe Sport that even though I had never been questioned or it had never been commented upon, I just went, oh, huh.
Yeah.
So I think all of us should go through that process. It's pretty darn inexpensive. I think it's $25 to do.
Hmm.
I know USEF still has access to that through their fan membership for those that are looking for a place to go do that. And I think that Safe Sport's good because then it does allow the young person who maybe felt victimized for whatever reason to say something. And then also, if it isn't, sexual misconduct, if it's just mixed conduct in general, like they're getting yelled at a lot,
Hmm.
um, you know, hopefully they'd be comfortable talking to their grandparents who are paying for the lessons or their parents or something like that. But please, if you're listening to this and you do have an instructor, it is not correct to get yelled at. That
Yeah.
is old school thinking. And it is not correct if you fall off to cowboy or cowgirl up and get right back on the horse. No, there's concussions, there's concussion protocol, there's
Hmm.
all kinds of things that need to happen before you get right back up on the horse. So don't allow that to happen to yourself because no sport should we get yelled at. That's
Yeah.
not fun.
Yep. And we should probably mention that being yelled at is there's a difference between like correcting yelling at them and speaking badly to that
Correct.
person.
That is absolutely a very good point. And that's why if you have a quiet voice, I don't recommend a bullhorn because the minute you use a bullhorn to teach, you're just really yelling all the time. So
Yeah.
embrace your diaphragm, embrace your outside voice. Don't teach in outdoor arenas if you really don't think you can handle the wind. Whatever you need to do, but really, yeah, there is a way to say correction with a smile
Hmm.
and still get correction across.
Yep. Yep. And that's where I feel experience comes in handy because as you teach more, you find your instructor voice of like the correct
Yes.
volume, whether you're inside or
Yes.
outside.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah. Because there is a lot of times with trainers like this that a lot of people laugh it off because they're just like, oh, that's just how the industry is. But I definitely think it needs to change in almost 2026.
Yeah, I would agree with you 100%. And ironically enough, I think it's in the English world just as much as it's in the Western world. I don't
Hmm.
think there's a differentiation between the two.
No.
I think that that type of instruction exists in both. And those instructors, even if they're really, really good or trainers, um, maybe if they started to have a few less clients, they would not do those things.
Yeah.
So just making sure that you know that you're not stuck with somebody. There's another person that will be able to teach you or your child and still do a good job. You'll be able to find them and just reach out to the network of folks. Abby will have all my contact information, I'm sure,
Hmm.
for all of you to reach out to me. I'm happy to help. There's a bunch of us in the industry that are happy to help.
Yes. Yes. We are here to help each other. Speaking of helping each other, for the industry, what do you think needs to be done to bring the true lesson program back? With the current state of the market as it is, do you think it starts with barns being better at connecting and networking with each other and working together more as a community?
100%. So, yeah, in my perfect world, all people that teach beginners to ride and have school horses would have access to trainers and instructors that do not want to have school horses
Hmm.
so that when we that do enjoy teaching the beginner put a good walk trot canter or walk jog lope on them, and they can maybe do a simple or a flying change and maybe a simple jump course or a simple dressage pattern or a simple reining pattern or whatever the case may be, then, and I do this, I have a reining instructor I can send them to, I have a dressage instructor I can send them to, a hunter jumper coach, because I don't want to go to all these horse shows. I already go to a
Yeah.
ton of horse shows for NRHA with my day job. I certainly don't want to go with my students. For me, it's fun. Gives
Hmm.
my horses in my backyard exercise, gives my husband a reason to want to feed them when I'm on trips and not think that they're irritating because they're actually paying for themselves.
Yeah.
So I do it for fun. I don't do it for work, right? It's my side gig. So the last thing I want to do is go to horse shows with my students. I have no desire to do that. So for those that really get excited, I send them to like the Urban Farm that has an IEA program, right? Interscholastic Equestrian Association program because they're close to me here in Colorado. Or I send them to whomever if they want to really specialize in a certain discipline
Yeah.
and they aren't really quite ready to own a horse yet, then I kind of make sure maybe that those trainers have school horses. But if they don't, no problem. Maybe it's time for them to buy or lease,
Yeah.
or like in IEA, it's time for the draw system. And you can keep learning and riding a ton of horses through that program. And it's for fourth grade up to 12th. And then, of course, IHSA is college, and they're both draw based and they're fabulous.
Yes. Yes. I'm glad you brought up like sending them on to like a more specialized instructor or trainer because that was actually my next point is lesson barns do need to collaborate more with
Hmm.
more specialized barns where you can get your student to a certain point and then talk to them like what are your goals? Where do you want to go? Do you want to go more barrel racing? Do you want to do roping? Like then you can talk to a barn and be like, "Hey, I have a student. They really want to learn how to breakaway rope or whatever. They have the basis. They just need the help to get there." I also think that would really help with creating less tension when a student or client changes barns because there's like a lot of drama that happens when people go change barns
Sure,
and they get
sure.
talked bad about or the trainer gets talked bad about and I think that would really help.
I think so too. I think collaboration is key. We're one big family in
Hmm.
the horse industry, right? Everything that drives us is our love of the animal, the horse. We love the horse.
Yeah.
And that's how we all got started in it. So, for those of us that make our living in it, sharing with others, you're going to get back, you're going to reap what you sow, right? So you're going to get back positive energy if you put out in the universe positive energy. And so I just feel that collaboration is so key. So if you know that you're really, really good at something, don't try to be everything to everybody. Don't be
Hmm.
a jack of all trades, master of nothing. For example, I can teach beginners all the way up to advanced. I absolutely can. But
Hmm.
I absolutely love the beginner. I love it. And I don't want to go to horse shows.
Hmm.
So like I said, when they know how to walk, jog, lope, walk, trot, canter, and do a lead change, they're out. I'm like, bye-bye, you gotta go. There's nothing much more I can teach you.
Yeah.
But if I do have one that just wants to stay with me no matter what, well, then we start trail riding together.
Hmm.
Or then I switch them over to a Western saddle and I go, okay, now we're gonna go one-handed. What? And I teach them how to use a rommel or how to use split rein. So I mean, there is always more to do. If your student really doesn't want to leave you and you feel like you can teach at that level, but having collaboration with other barns, Abby, it's
Yes.
key. It's key.
Yes. Yes. It's very important for not only students, but for the industry to thrive overall. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. Yeah. And I love that you're so passionate about the beginners because that's definitely really important to teach that to give them a good experience when they first start riding that will make them want to continue on.
I have been super lucky. I have trained some AQHA world champions. And was I there at the AQHA World Champion Horse Show training them? No, they had a different
Yeah.
trainer after me, but I can still say I started that person. I have trained Aaron Ralston. Some might know his name. His colt starter actually started at the Urban Farm and was an at-risk youth rider. And he went on to colt start for Aaron Ralston. And that was after I taught him for many years. So that to me is more fulfilling
Hmm.
than going to the horse shows and watching them win a ribbon. That's not super fulfilling to me. For
Yeah.
me is having people go on to be a part of our industry for the long haul. I love that.
Yeah. Love that answer. So we've talked a lot about lesson programs, horses, instructors, and as we also talked about, you're still teaching, but your main role nowadays is with NRHA. Since being there, What have you learned, whether from the Green Rainer program or another aspect of reining, that you feel could impact lesson programs in the future for the industry?
Yes, I feel that the National Reining Horse Association actually does have a very good way to start. I think that our Green Raider program is very powerful. It's a good way to get your feet wet in it and not have to do a big commitment right away of all kinds of things. Plus, you can then kind of work up the ladder. So once you money out of Green Rainer, then you can go into rookie. And then when you get out of rookie, you can go into non-pro. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And I think that those levels are awesome for goals. And I think that it does really help. So I do really appreciate NRHA for doing those things. But I have to also mention on the other end, not
Mhm.
just for youth getting started or beginner adults getting started, but we have this great program that I love that when you're in your 50s, you ride in what's called prime time. And
Mhm.
when you're a 60-year-old human, you ride in what is called masters. And when you're in your 70s, you actually get to become a legend and you ride in our legend classes, and we allow the legends to hold the horn. So if they have to push against the horn in the slide or push against the horn like you would in cutting for a spin, that's allowed. And I love that
Yeah.
because does our balance get a little bit more off as we get older? Sure. Our fall's the number
Yes.
one thing that hurts humans as we get older. Yes, we all know this. And that's just walking down your steps at home, you fall, right? So I mean,
Yes.
absolutely from a horse, it would be devastating. So the fact that we allow all of that, and I don't know, Abby, I don't own a reining horse right now, but I might buy one when I'm in my 70s just to be called a legend.
Yeah, no, that's a great name. I'm sure they love being called legends because they're like, I
That's
am a
right.
legend.
Exactly. And we even have some 80-year-olds and they're so cute. They're like, what do we get to be called? I'm like, you're legend squared. You're all it. You're on it, man.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
yeah, yeah, love it. Love it. All right, so one more question before we get into our rapid fire questions. In
Sure.
your own words, how would you define an educated cowgirl?
An educated cowgirl is someone who respects all breeds and disciplines and doesn't ever say anything negative about other breeds and disciplines because there's always positive in different ways of riding and in different types of horses. And that educated cowgirl will learn about the industry. They'll learn about risk management. They'll learn about the diseases in the horse world. They'll learn about, of course, how to take care of their own horse, when to call the vet, all the things. So never, ever, ever stop learning and have respect for all breeds and disciplines would be what I would say.
Perfect. And it keeps them more open-minded too.
Yes, 100%.
Yes. All right, so for some fun rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Um, if there was a movie made about your life, who would play you?
Oh boy. I'm not good at this stuff, Abby. Oh
It's
my
okay.
God.
Cheryl didn't know how to answer that either.
Yes, I'm thinking how would I know? I'm so bad. I like watch the movies and then I'm like, but I don't really know the names of any actors or actresses. I'm like, oh, well, that's like a really good person. I would say I'm probably more well, I'm not super touchy-feely personality style, but I'm not quite Beth Dutton style. So there would be, some sort of a actress that is less than Beth Dutton, but more than Shirley Temple. How about that?
Okay. Okay. Somewhere in the middle.
There you go.
Somewhere in
I'm
the
I'm
middle.
kind of a moderate kind of gal. Moderation
Yeah.
is key. I
Yeah.
like it.
I think Monica, is that her name on Yellowstone? Monica?
Oh, yes, I think
Casey's
so.
wife. I think that's her name.
Yes.
That personality more.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes, a little bit more
Yeah.
in the middle. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right. Mares or geldings?
Geldings.
I think I knew that one.
Uh-huh. They punch in their time clock and they punch it out.
Yeah.
Mares have opinions and I love them, but they, whoo-hoo, not to be lesson horses for me. I think I
Yes.
have ridden some amazing mares. Would I personally own a mare and show it? Oh, all day long. But for lesson horses, I want to know every day exactly where they stand. I like
Right.
that better.
Yes. You're like,
Yeah.
don't give me attitude.
Uh-huh.
All right. What is one goal you have for 2026?
Well, 2026 is the big year. My eldest son is graduating from Colorado State University in May. So that's a big deal. I can't believe it's already been 4 years. Time goes so fast. So for all of you that have kids out there, just enjoy every second because, oh my gosh, you blink and they're like graduating from college. It's very bizarre.
Yeah.
But I guess a goal of mine is just to keep on being the best mom I can be and wife I can be while still juggling all this work travel for the NRHA. I got a lot of work travel.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm gone 2 weeks at a time. And that's a long time to be gone. So just trying to juggle that and just keep up with that, I think would be my goal. I also want to ride more. I'm trying really, really hard now with my students that are getting better, where I'll hop on a horse with them so that we can ride together. When you teach a true beginner, I feel like you have to be on the ground because you
Yeah.
can help make the horse go or stop the horse, with your body language. But when they get to be intermediates and more advanced, why not hop on with them? So I'm going to try really hard in 2026 to ride more.
Love that. And that brings me to the last rapid fire question. If you could try any discipline, English or Western, what would it be and why?
I have been very lucky that I've ridden most. I have ridden side saddle. I even rode the champagne class in the gated world. I've done a lot, but I I would go back to barrel racing in a heartbeat if I had money and I didn't have a job. I think I would barrel race again because I really enjoy it. I don't have to groom them that well. I don't have to braid them. I don't have to wear show clothes. I could just go in, barrel race, come home, and win maybe a jackpot. So
Yeah.
I think I would really like to do that. But as far as one that I haven't tried, I have literally never actually worked with cattle. I've only done the cutting where it was the bicycles and the bag that went back and forth.
Hmm.
And I rode a cutter that way, which was amazing. But to actually truly cut or even do the whole reined cow thing where you run them down the rail and then figure eight them, oh my
Hmm.
gosh, I think that would be really, really fun to try.
Yeah. Nice, nice. All right, so Christy, this has been such a fun conversation and so interesting to hear your thoughts on this and to finally get you on the podcast. Um, if you would like to share this information, how can people follow your travels and adventures, get in contact with you, or learn more about your work with NRHA?
Yes, the best thing is probably to go to Facebook and Christy Landwehr is my work Facebook, and that would probably be the best one to start with. And I have a lot of things on there about what I'm doing and stuff. I also have a website, CJL Training, but I don't honestly get on there much and update it, so it's not super updated, but there is a website if you would like to go there. And then I have no problem at all with people reaching out to me. If you go to the NRHA staff page, you can see my phone number that it's a work number, but it links to my cell and is also an email there. And I'm happy to answer questions. I love it, actually.
Great, great. Thank you, Christy.
Thank you, Abby. Have a good one.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Educated Cowgirl. I hope you enjoyed it, learned something new, and will come back for more. In the meantime, if you would like to continue to support the show, make sure you hit that follow button on whichever platform you're listening on, follow me on social media, and make sure to leave me a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And if you really want to share the podcast, make sure you tag me in your Instagram stories at The Educated Cowgirl. But for now, stay blessed and ride on, cowgirls.